Construction Coach here. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I built this custom couch out of 2x4s, MDF, and 3 mattresses from IKEA. In this episode, we are also going to take a look at this old world concrete parch that I've installed over top of the drywall to give our living room a real old European look.
I'm literally going to go from this wall and build myself a sectional all the way to the door. How we're doing this is we're going to build a platform inside here and just use some crib mattresses as the base pads, and we're going to work some pillows up against the wall. So we're looking for a much deeper couch, and we want a more of a fit-in style. We don't want to have the space and all the good things that come from doing actual building. So really excited to show you this project. It's a very easy project. I'm just going to build essentially a 2x4 pony wall in the front, one in the back here, and then clad it with MDF. I'm going to show you the reason why I do the one at the back as a full pony wall, because I'm going to make a couple opening sections so that we can do some storage underneath our couch. Really good idea. I've been doing another build just like this at my cabin. And to start up, I'm going to lay out some measurements here and get my multi-cutter, cut the baseboards off right where they're going to be finished to. I'm going to run my utility knife across the top so that I don't tear the drywall paper when I remove the baseboards. Got all my Ryobi tools here. Basically going to show you a bunch of different stuff. We've got a circular saw, multi-cutter, orbital sander, drill, brad nailer, 18 gauge, jigsaw, and this really neat small belt sander to get into some of those smaller areas that you can't get your larger sander at. So we're going to use a junior size mattress or a crib mattress. It's 27.5 inches. So what I like to see is my framed wall is going to get cladded with 1/2 inch, and I want a 1 inch overhang from the MDF to go over top of the face of my wall. So I'm going to use 26 inches off this wall as my measurement. So I can safely say that the MDF will be there and my framing will kind of be at 25.5. So I'm going to mark the line at 26 here off the wall, and then square down, and that's where I'm going to make my cut over here. So 26. Our mattress is going to go this way, and then we have this 63 inches. It's going to end, but we're going to build our base a little further right to the door, so when you're putting your shoes on, you'd be sitting this way, and you can't get your toes hit by the door. So we chose 16 inches off the wall. That's kind of the finish there on that side. And you can see I've got some electrical that I'm going to lose when I do this, and I got a heat register to deal with. We're actually going to drill a hole through our face and probably mount some power bars. So we'll end up actually putting a power bar into each one of these, not have to extend it through because we were using it to get inside after for storage. So I will run some ducting on this and get it out the face so that we're not losing the heat from this location. And I'm going to square these lines and get the multi-cutter and cut them up. Whenever you're removing baseboards, definitely cut the tops. And you guys know, like, when you're pulling brad nails, pull them through this way with some pliers and you don't damage the front. So you can break them off too, but it'll leave like a little dimple there, so it's hard to reinstall them. So always just grab these with some pliers, twist it, and it pulls it out the back, and then the front's already covered from when they painted it last time. So then you put your new nails in, get them all covered up, and you can reuse baseboards. Definitely make sure you cut ahead of time though, so you don't have the drywall paper chase up. These guys siliconed as well, so a couple of spots it would have ripped up past the paper. That matters sometimes if you're, you don't want to get too high up the wall and have to fix wall deficiencies. So make my materials or my cut list now. So I'm gonna use the long wall and build 2 continuous. One 30.5. Ah, 130 3/8, so let's kind of go with that 130 1/4. I've got my plates cut now, so you can kind of see the shape that I'm forming up here. Such a simple build. So now I'm just gonna run down these walls and do a 16-inch on-center layout for the stud framing. And remember, I'm clipping the tape, and because my studs are 1.5 inches, if I want to get them exactly center, I'm measuring back 3/4 inch, half thickness of the material being used, putting an X on the right. So it's 16, but you're actually going 15 1/4, and then the X. And then it's 32, but you're actually going 31 1/4, and then the X to the right. And that makes sure all your material is centered. So I'm also gonna wanna put a piece of backing in right here where they intersect to make sure. And then once I get the walls built, I'll bring them back in, and I'm gonna use some spreaders at the top. And that's how I'm gonna keep it nice and firm at the top to accept the 1/2 inch MDF on the top. That's also when I get to choose how many hatches I'm gonna make to flip open and get in there. I'm not gonna use a piano hinge. I've had piano hinges fail in the past. I don't really wanna get too technical with that. So that's why I'm using the 2x4 thickness here. And the 2x4 thickness here is that there's a 3.5 inch flat part for the MDF to sit on over here. So it makes a nice, just a flap at the top. If you're gonna use the piano hinge, you can put like a 3-inch strip in there and use 3/4 inch material and then run a piano hinge in there. But be careful, because I mean, sometimes those piano hinges are a little bit flimsy, so when you go to close the door, it might pop out all the screws down the line. So I'm just gonna do it a simple way, and then I feel that like if I put a couple rubber mutes on it, that it won't move. It'll kind of get stuck in one spot. So now I'm gonna figure out the height I wanna use, which I think we're just gonna go right above these receptacles so that they're fully inside, and then the mattress is like 3 inches, so our finish height will be about 3 inches above these receptacles with the cushion. And if you see, like, that's a pretty nice height. So plus you're gonna squish into it, so that's kind of what we got going on. I'm gonna cut all these studs and do the layouts, and I'll bring you in closer so you guys can see the layout happening as well. So I'm clipped on, you see it? 15 1/4, X to the right. 31 1/4, X to the right. 47 1/4, X to the right. 63 1/4, X to the right. 79 1/4, X to the right. 95, X to the right. 111 1/4, X to the right. And 127 1/4. Typically, just grab a square. Make sure your 2 plates are lined up with each other. Square across, mark a line. Okay. And now when I'm doing my layout, I'm gonna copy the same layout on there. Makes it a lot easier if I do decide to put a couple connection points in. I've got stud to stud that are right lined up. When I'm All right, so I've got the sheets brought in and I've got my fronts all attached here. Things are looking really good, except for these walls. Now, I was just building it however, tight to the wall, whatever, but you can see here that if I want to make this joint tight like that, that I'm way off the wall here and way off the wall over there. So now we're gonna learn how to scribe. We're gonna scribe this to the wall, go outside, make the cut. Next time we slide it in, this gap will be gone, that gap will be gone. So I found this little bottle cap. I'm gonna use that. It's the perfect thickness to get me to the outside edge. And you can see here, I'll end up with a tight joint. So here we go. Okay, and I'll use a thinner one on this wall. Pencil's gonna work on its own. Okay. So I'll head out to the outside, cut those scribes, and then we'll slide it back in. And then I should be able to fit this one tight to close that joint. And I'm gonna look at scribing this long one as well because the wall's in and out a little bit, but we're gonna get that piece fixed first. And because I want these tops to be flip top open, my wife and I are gonna choose like about here and fix this inside corner one right here and fix one on that end, and then it'll be the flip top. And then we're gonna fix another one just past the mattress line here on this side to lock in this flip top to access the storage underneath. So I'm gonna cut these pieces. I'll catch up with you once I've got them dry fit and perfect. We'll come in nice and close to take a look at the joints. Got the 3 mattresses on. You can see it's a little short of hitting the wall there, so I'm gonna actually put an armrest there. So if someone was sitting there watching the movie, they would have somewhere to put their beer or whatever. And over there, we're happy with the mattress standing like that because it's a nice area for people to get their shoes on while they're ready to leave our place or whatnot. So we might put a plant on top of there too, we're not really sure. But now we're just gonna paint and patch and trim off our booth, and that's where you could do it however you want. I've got some overhang going on down here. You could trim it off. You could finish this with hardwood floor. You could do all sorts of stuff. So
I've got all the MDF patched with a patch that goes on pink and dries white. Once the patch is dry and sanded, we selected Bear, Peppercorn for the color. And check out these new spouts to pour the paint. Very clean, very easy. Here's a little trick to get rid of the lint on any roller. Oh, and here's that color. We're very, very happy with this color. We actually used it in our main floor bathroom as well. The old taupe that was in our living room really destroyed the feel in there. So we're quite happy with how different it looks with the peppercorn color. Here's a quick look at the other living room color we're using. It's called NYPD. Here I am trimming out that booth look for the couch. This is a 2.5 inch by 5/8 thick trim that I'm brad nailing to the wall, and I'm trying to hit each stud, so I'm looking for an electrical box to find the wood stud on the left. Then I measured off that one 16 inches on center each way so that I know that I'm hitting the studs perfectly. After that, I will apply some DAP to the top so that I can glue another 2.5 inch by 5/8 piece on top of that and brad nail down into it to create kind of a little ledge effect at the top. Here's the end of the couch on the short side. I've used 3 2x4s to create kind of a curb. Now I'm cutting into the window casing so that I can clad it with the MDF. This is kind of a nice touch because it'll lock on the mattress, and we figured it'll kind of create separation from that front seating area and the cushions. On this side, I used a 6x6 that I had kicking around in the yard. Alright, time to clean up the joints and tighten things up. This DAP is amazing. It will really adhere that ledge to the drywall. So I'm going to run a bead down there, and anywhere else that I've got issues or cracks, I'm going to run a bead. We're using black dye to dye the white sheets this marbled look. When we bought the mattresses from IKEA, we found that they only sell one fitted sheet that fits the mattress, and it comes in the color white only. So be cautious of that if you use the same mattresses that we used from IKEA. Here I am mixing up the mud for the old world concrete parging. I'm just applying it with a 12-inch knife and using my hawk to handle the concrete material. This is a really fun project for me. I like the old kind of rough look at the cabin build. I'm going to do a similar feature in areas, but I'm really going to look for that smooth, perfect texture. So this was really fitting in our scene here to have it a little bit distorted looking. But there's several different ways that you could finish this wall. It just depends on how much time you want to spend on it. This is a fun detail. I pressed the switch cover into the wet mud so it looks flawless. Wow, we're really happy how this turned out. This project was a design build. We knew we were going to build a base with storage, but we didn't know we were going to go as far as parging the walls and finishing our whole living room. Design build is the way to go sometimes. You get to feel it as you're building, like putting together a puzzle one piece at a time.